Oh, Jesus, cock-slapping Christ, it's hot in here. It must be like 40 degrees or something. It gives the end of that bag of frozen peas, Mr. Wanksock, old buddy old chum. Get f***ed, you sack of congealed arse gravy! I'm sweating like a priest in a playground! What are you talking about sweating? You don't even have any skin. Well, I'm definitely dripping, and if it ain't sweat, I'm blaming you, Baldy. Ugh, who'd have thought that the UK would ever hit 35 frickin' degrees? I read on the news that it's been caused by an Omega block. You mean that cough of Lord of the Rings? What? No, that's Orlando Bloom. If I see that scrawny weak again, I'll pull off his ludicrously large ears and slap him till he bleeds. I think you're getting a bit... Hang on, what do you mean again? Nah, I haven't just been your wanksock, buddy. Right, well, I think that's probably enough talking complete bollocks to drive away all of the people who actually clicked on this video looking for insightful commentary on the Xiaomi 13T smartphones. So now we can get on with our usual effort, reading the Tech Radar page all about the latest leaks and passing it off as our own original content for monetary gain. Hooray! Credits! Techspert Weekly! So the Xiaomi 13T series is set to launch at the arse end of September, making it the next big launch in the smartphone calendar. What about? If you even say iPhone, I'm gonna drop kick you out of the f***ing window. Bloody hell! Normally I'm the excessively violent one. I'm sorry, alright, it's just the heat. I just really don't like it when my testicles are glued to my leg. The Xiaomi 13T phones will be a kind of halfway house between the rather lovely Xiaomi 13 flagships launched way back in February when bits of my anatomy weren't painfully stuck to other bits, and the new Xiaomi 14 blowers that will land in 2025. And those T-series smartphones usually boast a slightly cheaper price tag as well, despite still packing some pretty premium specs similar to the flagships. And it's official, these beauties will be launched in Berlin on Tuesday, September the 26th. And because it's just over a couple of weeks away, we've had lots of leaky goodness online. You can expect two models to be launched side by side as usual. The Xiaomi 13T along with the Xiaomi 13T Pro, in case you've got a bit more spare cash and demand the absolute shiniest, crotch-stirringest tech around. Now the regular 13T model apparently won't be refreshingly compact like the old Xiaomi 13. A leaked spec sheet suggests that both new phones will sport an almighty 6.67-inch OLED screen with a sharper than Full HD resolution and creamy smooth 144Hz refresh. Should be a proper eye spooger, make no mistake, and probably backed by stereo speakers. The regular Xiaomi 13T will apparently be powered by Mediatek's 4nm Dimensity 8200 Ultra, a chipset that is pleasingly beefy and apparently excels at image processing. Good news if you're after a shit-hot camera phone. Meanwhile, the Xiaomi 13T Pro upgrades that to the even more meaty Dimensity 9200 Plus. And with its fresh Immortalis-G715 GPU, the Dimensity 9200 should absolutely kick 10 bells out of any Android game that you chuck at it. It'll certainly be interesting to see how it compares in benchmarking tests with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 that powered the original Xiaomi 13 and Xiaomi 13 Pro. F***ing nerd! Screw you, buddy. Not again. I'm still soggy from this morning. Yeah, bollocks to benchmarking. I'm just gonna play Genshin Impact on the Xiaomi 13T Pro and then piss and moan when my level 40 werewolf guy gets his face smashed in by a f***ing floating goblin that looks suspiciously like James Corden's more attractive sibling. Seriously, can someone please explain that game to me and just how not to suck at it? Internet chat suggests that both the Xiaomi 13T and the 13T Pro will rock a 5000 mAh battery, although the Pro is likely to charge faster with 120 watt wide support versus 67 watt on the regular version. A decent upgrade, but to be fair, 67 watts should give you a half charge in about 15 minutes, so not exactly essential. And you can expect some differences for the camera tech too. The 13T Pro should serve up a 50MP IMX707 main camera with optical image stabilization, as also found on last year's Xiaomi 12 Pro. And you'll also possibly get a 13MP ultra-wide-angle shooter and a 50MP telephoto option, both using Omnivision sensors. No real details so far on the regular Xiaomi 13T's camera tech, but I wouldn't be surprised if Xiaomi once again go with a massive sensor, say a 200MP effort, and then completely scrap the telephoto effort, so instead you just take a high-res image and crop in if you want a zoomed-in shot. And both of these cameras are likely to sport the Leica brand as well, complete with all of the usual fine-tuning and filter bollocks. And the rest of those specs look pretty similar for both these blowers. IP68 water resistance, at least 256 gigs of non-expandable storage, possibly double that for the Pro, and a highly thrilling choice of black and blue colour options. Now, when you're banging on about Xiaomi smartphones, things are normally pretty happy and merry when it comes to the hardware side of things. I'm talking unicorns shooting glittery rainbows out of their fluffy wangs while dancing merrily on the mutilated corpse of James Corden. But when you swap to the software side of things, well, that's when the dark clouds roll over and everything gets a bit bleak. But thankfully not the case with the 13T phones. Xiaomi's director of comms announced on Twitter or X or absolute show, whatever you want to call it these days, that Xiaomi will be offering 4 generations of OS upgrade and 5 full years of security patching, bringing it more in line with rivals like Samsung. So rejoice, rejoice, it seems like the Xiaomi 13T smartphones might be a brilliant option for anyone who can't quite afford to spunk out on those top-end flagships, especially if here in Blighty they started around the sort of 550-ish mark like last year's models. It should certainly be a good option if you can't really face the batshit randomness of the Nothing Phone 2, and definitely a very strong rival to the likes of the OnePlus 11. And anyway, let us know your thoughts on the Xiaomi 13T series and Xiaomi in general down in the comments below. I'll hopefully have you a full tasty unboxing and hands-on follow the action with those really soon. And that's the newsy bit, so now it's time for the part of the show that involves more hot and bothered men off of the internet than your mum's bedroom. It's viewer comments. Viewer comments. Alright, so this week we are starting with Dev, who says, please stop consuming alcohol, drink milk for good health. I appreciate the sentiment, Dev, I really do, but unfortunately milk makes me like really gassy, like even worse than beer. So unless you want my witty viewer comment retorts to be drowned out by the sound of particularly rambunctious farts, and for me to possibly asphyxiate myself in this tiny studio, I should probably, for health reasons, stick to booze. Achilles3140 says, make more Mr. Wangsock content, give him a girlfriend and sell their merch. Yeah, I think somebody's already suggested on this show that I sell Mr. Wangsock merch, and I mean it would be a brilliant scam. Basically just bugger off down to Primark, buy a bumper bag of socks for like a few quid, bring them back, stick googly eyes on them and then sell them for 20 quid a pop. But honestly, if you want your own Mr. Wangsock, you can make yourself one at home rather cheaply. It could be like a Neil Buchanan Art Attack project. All you need is an old sock, some cardboard, some marker pens, a pair of scissors, and then for that authentic crispy texture, just lock yourself in the bathroom with a copy of Razzle. Possibly showing my age a wee bit there. It's kind of sad though that teenagers these days won't get that amazing experience of popping off down the local corner shop and then awkwardly clutching a copy of a top shelf mag and going up to the sweet old lady at the counter and gives you very disapproving stares. Oh Johnny, I thought you were better than that. Sorry Miss Jeffries, I like pulling my pud like every other lad. Anyway, moving hastily on, Daniel B says, I guess it's because the actual name of the album is The Beatles, it got the nickname The White Album because of its white cover. And yes, because last week we were talking about an anime which is rather cheekily called The White Album 2 or whatever. And yeah, alright smarty bollocks, you're right. Beatles probably couldn't sue the anime producers because of that. It's kind of lucky in a way that it got the nickname The White Album and people didn't just decide to call it the f***ing boring cover album or the massive cum splat album. There you go, there's Uncle Spurt's deep thought of the week. Feel free to leave a super chat tip or whatever that bollocks is if you're feeling particularly inspired. So of course, unsurprisingly, we got quite a few comments on the Honor V purse, which was the subject, well, one of the many subjects of last week's IFA-rific video. Mind Over Matter says, I hope they make a normal, non-purse black version. I really liked the Huawei Mate X2. Yeah, absolutely agreed. Just forget the purse randomness, just do a Huawei Mate X3 or an Honor Mate X3 or whatever. Absolutely love that form factor and everything, really slick design. I don't quite like the dynamic wallpapers, they're kind of jazzy, something fun to play around with for a minute or two while you're waiting for your bus to turn up or your Ginster's pasty to finish in the microwave. And yeah, forget about purses, as Yoshiki points out, pretty soon they'll make smartphones big enough to be backpacks. I love that idea, a smartphone that's so big you can actually fit a laptop inside of it. Hazawo, sorry I completely mauled that pronunciation, says you can buy phone cases with a purse strap for like $10. This is true, but do they have pretend fish swimming about on them that you can poke? No. You'd have to get a real fish and then sellotape it to the sides of the case or something. And then I'm not even sure how the whole breathing thing would work. You'd have to keep dipping your phone into a cunningly concealed flask that you've shoved down the front of your pants or something like that. Christ, what an image. Moving on, the AJK man says, I will in the new year be switching to an Honor phone and ditching Samsung, tired of their nonsense. The A53 was the final straw, kind of like the Samsung equivalent of Windows Vista. Oh, ouch. I mean, yeah, the A53 was a bit of a disappointment, bit of a step backwards from the previous generation, but Jesus Christ, I mean, comparing anything to Windows Vista is like comparing someone to Hitler. I mean, maybe if your phone went around smashing all your other appliances, you know, kicking in your toaster and chucking your remote control in the microwave or something, then fair enough. I do remember my dad bringing home a hockey copy of Windows Vista. I think that one of his workmates had burned for him on several CD-ROMs or whatever, and installing it on our PC and then spending the next week desperately trying to roll it back to XP. Absolutely nothing fucking worked. That piece of shit, it just turned your computer into error message the experience. That's now on the subject of the Techno Rollable smartphone that we saw again, another concept phone that was launched last week. Jim Smart says, hang on, didn't Techno just nick that idea from the Oppo concept that they played with a couple of years ago? And the answer to that is yes, it is very, 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 very similar indeed to that Oppo rollable, which I did actually have a play with one of those Oppo rollables, I think it was a year or two ago, 2 years ago now, I believe it was, on an episode of Techspert Weekly. Very funky. I just really wish that a manufacturer, be it Oppo, Techno, whoever, actually take that design and produce actual retail smartphones with it. Because A, it's cool as shit, and B, the expand in your hands stiffy jokes basically write themselves. Next, Roman Lou says, I feel you about the charging speed on Pixel phones. I recently switched from a 67 watt Xiaomi 13T that I broke in a bike accident, ouch, sounds nasty, hope you're alright, to a Pixel 7a, and charging time is truly dreadful. You know, this is the problem. We're kind of spoiled with all these fast charging smartphones. I'd imagine it's kind of like if you spend like every night for a month eating filet mignon and, you know, really nice tasty food, and then you go back to your regular diet of double whoppers with cheese. Alex Pro says, any ideas on when the Xiaomi 13 Ultra will actually hit the market in the UK? Yeah, it's kind of weird how when you go on the website, there's still no option to buy it on there. Not really sure what that's all about. I have emailed my Xiaomi contacts to see if they can provide an explanation, and if they do, I will chuck it down into like a pinned comment or something. We've got a fun Nokia-based fact here from Mythic Sons, who says the 380 and the 7280, basically the same phone in different colours, was nicknamed the lipstick phone. It's a great phone so long as you never need to make a 999 call because it uses an iPod-style click wheel for navigation, so dialing a number is painful. I mean, Christ, that just sounds like dialing a number on one of those proper old school landline phones with like the rotating dial. Those things were so slow. I just remember if you wanted to dial internationally, you basically had to stop halfway through for a sit down and a sandwich. Others Sing Pure says, my wife has the same view of iPhones as you. She nudges me every time you speak ill of Apple's now that I bought the 13 mini. She's a Sony fangirl with the 10 Mark IV. Well, to be fair, at least you bought the least iPhones, so, you know, kudos to you there. And big up Mrs. Others Sing Pure as well. Do love a bit of Xperia action myself. And just as you can give you an extra hard nudge, iPhones f***ing suck. Kondwani Banda says, sometimes it takes me a while to understand the things that this man says, and then I go like, ooh, is that ooh, I get it now, and that was incredibly insightful, or more of a, ooh, I get it now, and goddamn, that wasn't worth the time I spent puzzling over it. And bang out of time as usual, so better make this the last one, and it is an anime-based one, naturally. Theodore Tekers says, are you going to watch the One Piece live-action version, Chris? I've actually already started. I watched the first 3 episodes, I believe it was, earlier this week with my daughter, and she was really getting into it as well. I gotta say, I quite like it. I think they've captured the spirit of the original manga, but stripped out lots of the fluff and the excessively weird bullshit. There's a lot of fun. The CG's not too bad, apart from in some places where it's pretty ropey. I'll certainly continue with it, especially as there's not a chance in bloody hell that I'm ever going to catch up with the hundreds of episodes of the anime or the 1,000+ chapters of the manga. I think I got as far as Buggy the Clown basically, and that was about it. Anyway, that's all for this week, but a massive thanks to everyone who commented on the video from last week. Absolute crackers in there as always. Please do smash your comments down below. We'll try and get away through as many of those possible in next week's show. And speaking of next week,
this is about next week.
So next week's going to be a bit of a busy bastard. We've not only got Motorola launching some new stuff on Thursday, which will hopefully bring some videos Tier 4. But also we've got Huawei launching some stuff in Barcelona next Thursday. Barcelona, where it's probably about 10 degrees cooler than here, so I'm actually quite looking forward to that. So yeah, lots more shiny shit. So if you don't want to miss out on all of that good stuff, well, definitely please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell, give it a big old thumbs up, all that YouTube wank, and have yourselves a bloody wonderful weekend, people. Love you!